Good lady from 8.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to read from the sine die report from 2020, please. I'm asking unanimous consent.
Without objection, the lady may read from the sine die report.
Thank you, Speaker. The Senate adjourned on March 19th. It was a Thursday, sine die. We were March 20th, 2020. That was Friday. It says in the closing days of the 2020 session, saw the legislature's work continue under emergency declarations issued by the President and the Governor to combat COVID-19. The social and economic impacts stemming from COVID-19, including state and federal responses to the pandemic, were largely unknown at the time each chamber adjourned. And so everyone who was here, you remember cases started happening. Blaine County had a big, large number of people that were being served for the COVID. And a lot of the rural areas in the south and north, they weren't being affected near as much. So a lot of us stayed. We wanted to stay. In fact, a lot of us didn't even want to sine die on that day. But what's interesting, and I think what really shows intent in the inability for the communication flow to have been somewhat better, is the fact that the following Wednesday, 5 days after we packed up out of our Airbnbs or hotels or motels or whatever, we went home and the governor declared at noon at the National Guard headquarters that we are on lockdown. None of us knew anything about it. I mean, I truly don't believe any of us knew anything about it. So on that day is when all the Cisco trucks were out delivering groceries to the restaurants to serve food that weekend. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars, but you all didn't hear about that. But we did if they were calling us and saying, you're not going to believe how many perishables I just had to throw away. Or when the hairdresser or the dog groomer or what have you. But it was really the restaurants who felt the impact that Wednesday. It's like, what? We've got to shut down? We just got our delivery of lettuce and tomatoes at the back door of the restaurant. We didn't know anything about it. And then a few days later, I remember that I had called the Secretary of State, our good man from second floor, whatever floor he's on. Anyway, when I called him and I said, we are still going to hold the election and the absentee ballots will be going out on April 4th. No, don't think so. Think we're going to move the election date to possibly August. I said, excuse me, August? So I don't know how many of you in this body, and I know all of you new freshmen weren't there for this, but it's like, no way. And I will guarantee you, every one of you and you freshmen today, there is no way you would want to walk out here and campaign for 4 or 5 months for a primary. You are ready to get back to your lives and get back to work and start mowing the grass or whatever you do. But I thought, are you kidding me? And then when you look in our state constitution, it's the legislature who determines the election date, not the governor. Thankfully, our speaker, good man from District 27, helped us out and made sure that that election date was held for May 21st. Then all of a sudden, a few weeks later, you know what, we're going to change it to June 2nd. We didn't do it. The legislature didn't do it. The governor did it on the advice of the Attorney General's office. That was wrong. We should have been consulted. I don't know how I would have handled an emergency like this if I was governor, but I would sure like a lot more input or consult from all of us with so many different varied backgrounds. It would have definitely warranted a bigger discussion. But we were totally ignored. The good lady from 11 mentions that during the summer, we were on these phone calls, which I think a lot of us appreciated at first. But then if you remember, the goalpost kept getting moved. So many deaths per 100,000. Oh no, now the emergency room, the beds we don't have enough. And I mean, they kept moving. And then I think a lot of us just started tuning out because it really didn't matter what we had to say. The decision had already been made. We need to be able to provide input because we are on the ground listening to our constituents who are suffering. The essential, the non-essential, the loss of a business, the loss of a home, the loss of a job, the inability for your kids to go to school. Everybody was concerned. And if you don't think this isn't the biggest issue and that we need to rightfully take back our place in the as a legislature and represent our folks, we have got to override this veto. We've all been listening to this for a full year, except for the freshmen. And I'm telling you, I'm sure you've heard a lot from your constituents already. Just magnify that to the 10th power for the rest of us. So anyway, I would really appreciate your yes on the veto override. I think this is very important. We have to help our folks out, and believe me, they will not forget this vote. They will not. Thank you.